Let's take a look at another part of the effects window, and that is the overlays. In this included section, we have overlays. We learned how to use filters, and now it's time to move on to overlays. As we said, overlays are additional elements on your videos, and they do not always cover the entire thing. So as you can see right here, we got some frames. If you scroll down, we've got light leaks, maybe some more frames. And they're all categorized here, so you can go in and see which one looks good for your video. We have pretty cool overlays in Filmora. Let's try this. Water damaged film. This is great if you have a vintage video and you want to give it that extra flair with the damaged film look. We have things like TV static, glitches. There we go. So as you can see, these are additional things on top of my video. And sometimes they're shapes, other times they're frames. And they're just a great way to add some personality to your video and make it look like something that you're going for. Let's import a video. And I want to make this look like I was filming it live with my phone. I can go to the effects panel and go to this viewfinder tab and download one of these, place it on top, and now I can make it look like I was doing this live. There's also other types. So we have vintage viewfinders that you can just put on your video, and it's just looking pretty nice. And just like filters, you have some options with these new video layers. If you double click on them, for some of them we have opacity, which is the intensity of the element completely. But for others, we have additional options. For example, in the utility tab, which is below overlays, we have things like mosaic that you can just put on top to maybe censor a part of your video. Double click and we have a lot of options. So I can change the position X and Y. Let me just get something that we can censor. Let's get this bike video. And I'm going to attempt to censor this bike. Double click on that layer and you can change the position X and Y. Just click and drag the X slider to change the position X. Drag the Y slider to change the position Y. And then we have scale X, which is how long it extends on the X axis. And the same thing for Y. We then have the angle, which you can use to rotate it if needed. We also have the type of blurring. Let me just bring it on the leaves here. So we have this type, which is like this. You can see it's kind of going left and right. We also have the other way around, so up and down. We have these box looking ones, which is kind of pixelating the video. Got a little softer look. And something like this way, and finally this way. So I will use the pixelated look, or let's just stick to the classic. I can also change the intensity of this. So if I go higher, I'm going to be blurring it out more, but if I bring it to the other side, I'm going to bring it to nothing. We again have the opacity slider, which deals with the visibility of this element. And now let's go ahead and position it on this bike. I will hit reset to get the original settings. Use the X slider because I want it to move to the right. Use the slider to bring it towards the right. And as for Y, we're good to go, but it needs to be a little bit taller because we're missing out these parts. Go to Scale Y and increase the slider to completely cover the bike. You can change the angle if needed, but it's okay for me. And I'm going to increase the intensity because I don't want to see the bike. And maybe go for something a little softer. There we go. So we can tell that there's something in the back, but in a way that is not clear what it is. And now this bike is pixelated and blurred out. And I did that using a mosaic overlay right here in the utility tab. We have a bunch of mask overlays that we're going to take a look at later, but we have things like face off, which will we get to put these things on top of faces. Let's attempt that with a face. So I have this teacher teaching a lesson, and I can use face off, as you can see, to blur out her face. And notice how the face off overlay blurs the person's face without moving away. And that's because this is a smart overlay and it's tracking the movement of the person's head. And sometimes it does move off, but you will probably have to render it before seeing it in full effect. And we have other things like this box thing or this cat. If you want to blur out someone's face in a more creative way, you can go for any of these and they will follow the face wherever they go. We have things like auto enhance, which will color correct your video to some degree. It's not perfect, but you can see how it made the video, it added more contrast to the video before, after, and this happened using one overlay. Now let's take a look at film stock, which has more overlays, and we're getting paid and free featured just like we did in the other windows. So for film stock, you have the favorites tab and the downloads tab like you do for all the other ones. You have a hot recommended, a new tab where you get to see the new effects. And we have the diamonds on some of them, which means that you need to pay for it before you export, but you can still test them out like we are right now. Testing is free, but once you want to export it, you would have to pay for them. If you're not looking to pay for any overlays, you can go here and instead of all, put free. And we can get some free stuff like this. Product display, wedding and love, and cinematic items. So they're usually frames. Got travel overlays, good for your travel videos, social media, a lot of emojis, glitch, multi-screens, and so much more. If you want to use overlays for your videos, I would recommend coming onto the film stock because you get a lot more options than you do on the default version. And similar to the transitions, you want to also be careful with choosing overlays, because if you do put a distracting overlay like this one, while your video is pretty serious, you're going to distract the viewer from what's happening in the video. Now, if the teacher in this video was indeed teaching something very important, I shouldn't put something like this because people will just forget what she's saying and will focus more on the cool effects that are being shown on top. As in, your options are maybe some frames that you can put in. Perhaps from the cinematic tab where you get some nice frames. You can get things that are not that distracting, like something stable like this that does not move. Alright, now let's take at other examples where we can intensify something using overlays. I went ahead and downloaded some things from the stock media in Pixabay. And let's get a landscape. Let me zoom in. So you can see there is some snow and we're just not getting the snowfall. If I want to make it look like it was snowing as this footage was taken, even though it's not real, we can use overlays to show that it was snowing. Go to Effects and look for the ski pack overlay number 4 or any other ski pack overlay and just drag it on top. You can see that now it's snowing. To make it more realistic, we would have to make it move with the camera, but we'll learn how to do that in another lesson. For now, I was able to put some snowflakes on top of my video. Let's double click and just lower the opacity by a bit because it's way too vibrant. And now I have this video. Another example would be to use a, let's say, anime effect on an object. I got this video from Pixabay as well. Here you go. If you want to get the same video, just look for the following tags. And I'm going to bring this onto my timeline. Let's match the media. I'm going to mute this because we have audio. And I'm just going to look for the part where the plane is in frame. Let's get rid of the first half. And let's say until here. Delete that. So if I want to make this look a bit more sci-fi and make it look as if this plane has some special powers, I can also use overlays and make it seem that way. You can either use you can look for the anime overlays. This is number 3. I also got number 7. You can use this effect, but this has this little light coming from below, so you can actually go for something else. This is number 7. I'm just going to trim my video so I don't get that much of it. And now it looks like the rocket has some sort of special powers. And we are just making it look that way with the overlay. You can also double click and lower the opacity to make it a little bit more natural. Like so. And you can use overlays for so many other things. And I'm just going to show you guys another example. Let's go to stock media again. I'm going to get this image. So overlays can also be used for image. And just place it on my timeline. As you can see, there are pretty vibrant colors in this photo. We got some greens, the sky, and all that. And I can make it look like anime by using one of the anime overlays. So just go to the default tab, and then come down to LET anime, and double click to see what it looks like, or just drag it onto your timeline. And now this has a lot more, a flatter look. You can get something a little bit more intense. There we go, a little bit of a moody look. Or just go for the vibrant ones over here. There we go. So you can completely shift the color of your either video or images using the LUTs. And as always, you can double click and lower the intensity so it looks a bit more natural. Combine this with color correction and you have a new version of your image. Let's try neon. I will get something else for this. Stock media. So we have this fire right here. And let's try that with the effects, the red one, because we have some reds. Add it on top and we're getting something like this. I'm going to mute this as well. Double click, readjust the opacity, and now you can make it look like it's a really serious and hot day and you have a fire. You can also combine LEDs, so let's go for neon 10. Place it on top so I can get something a little bit, something with more contrast like this. Double click and just readjust the opacity, and let's also get this green one. Double click, readjust. Play this back and I get these really vibrant orange in my video. And the mood of this is not exactly warm and nostalgic because of the darkness that we have. With this one, we're showing that it's a serious mood and it just happens to be a really hot day. Something like the movie Mad Max, it's not necessarily warm and nostalgic, but they did use a lot of warm colors to portray the setting as somewhere hot and sunny. And we can do the same here. Let's try this with a car. So we do have the same layout. There we go. I can now make this look like this was shot somewhere that's really hot in temperature and it was sunny. Without the overlays, it would look like this. Turn that off as well. This was before. This is after. And you can just alter the mood of your videos using overlays and filters. You can also combine them together. I got these two overlays. Let's get a filter. So I can combine filters and overlays to get the best result for my video. It doesn't only have to be one at a time. You can combine them all together to create something cool for your project. Let's put some glitch there as well. And now we have something like this. Let's turn light leaks off. There we go. And now you know how to fully alter the color and lighting of your videos using either pre-made effects, or using your own customized settings. And now it's time to learn about the Elements window.